Let's talk about Armie Hammer, the alleged cannibal who is trying to make his comeback into Hollywood.
Let's first of all address that elephant in the room. Are you a cannibal?
Content warning before we proceed. This is a very graphic video, and we are going to be reading some DMs that are extremely graphic. So if that is not what you're into, that's totally fine. Just skip this video and I'll see you in the next one. In 2001, a group of anonymous women worked together to expose how Armie Hammer was an abuser who harmed them sexually and mentally, and had extreme cannibal fantasies that he would push on them. Armie, who is in movies like The Social Network and Call Me By Your Name, is currently on a press tour to talk about how things have been going for him in the last few years. This story caught my attention because of a quote that's going around from his interview with Piers Morgan. Piers asked Armie straight up if he was a cannibal, and to no one's surprise, Armie said no. It's what he followed up with that really made the situation look worse, in my opinion. Armie said, "You know what you have to do to be a cannibal? You have to have actually eaten someone, so no."
Let's first of all address that elephant in the room. Are you a cannibal?
No. You know what you have to do to be a cannibal? You have to have actually eaten someone.
Have you ever eaten any human flesh?
No.
Which is a really weird response considering he had multiple women accusing him of having extreme cannibal fantasies. Maybe he can technically say he's not actually a cannibal, but it's still very concerning that he has had the thoughts and desires to be one, especially when you consider he had admitted to being in sexual relationships with women in their 20s who could feel pressured into doing things that they're not comfortable with. I mean, if someone told me that they have fantasies of unaliving someone and the thought of it alone turns them on, and they've even practiced with animals, then yeah, I think they need to be locked up, or at the very least, they need to be away from society so they can get the help that they clearly need. What was even more disturbing about this interview with Piers Morgan was Armie saying this: "I don't think that's any different than when someone looks at a baby and goes, 'Oh my God, look at those cute little fat legs. I just want to eat you up.' Absolutely not, sir. I don't know why anyone would compare the cute aggression people have towards babies and animals, because they're just so squeezable and lovable, to fantasies about eating someone alive, about using their blood for other disturbing things, about chopping them up into pieces. That's not the same at all." And him saying that to me just sounds like he's really trying to downplay the severity of what he actually did say. A lot of people say things like, "Oh my gosh, I could eat you up," to a baby or an animal or something that's just extremely cute. But usually people don't actually want to eat the baby or the animal, and just shows how disturbing he actually is. Now, in case you forgot the types of conversations Armie was having with the women that he called slaves, let me remind you. "I need your blood. I crave it. Will you give it to me tomorrow? Don't forget that you're mine." That topic, once again, it's very intense. "I'm intense. I need your blood. I want you to feed me with it." Oh my God. Blank. And it makes me confused as to why. Is that even possible? So hard, thinking of holding your heart in my hand and controlling when it beats. I am 100% a cannibal. I want to eat you. That's scary to admit. I've never admitted that before. I've cut the heart out of a living animal before and eaten it while still warm. My is in my hand, and I'm thinking of breaking your ribs, cutting you into pieces and the pieces. Those are my bones, and if I want to break one to prove it, I will. Fingers, toes, and if you still need more proof, your neck. In my bare hands. Now I need to, again, if you tell me what I can and can't break, I will break them all. Thinking of breaking your bones. Now, there were a lot of DMs that were leaked by these women, but I'm not going to read all of them. They're all as disturbing. I'll put them on screen. You can watch as this video continues, but that is just a taste of what he's truly into. So him saying that these types of conversations, these types of DMs are the same thing as saying, "Oh, you see a cute baby and you just want to eat them up." It's not the same. And anyone who says that should be on some kind of list somewhere. Hello, FBI. This man is deranged and he needs to be away from people. I don't care where he goes. I don't care what hole he crawls back into, but I don't want to see him in any movies. I don't want to see him on a TV screen. And yes, I understand that there are people that are into these types of fetishes, but the difference between him and them is they prioritize safety and consent. They want to make sure that everyone involved is one, fully consenting to do it, and two, that they're actually safe, that they don't feel pressured into doing something that they don't want to do. Safety is extremely important for anyone that is in these types of communities. They want to make sure that everyone is having a good time that's participating. And if these women came forward to say that they were consenting to have sex with Armie, but they were not consenting to the levels of harm that were inflicted on them, that is a problem.
On April 24th, 2017, Armie Hammer violently raped me for over 4 hours in Los Angeles, during which he repeatedly slapped my head against a wall, bruising my face. He also committed other acts of violence against me, to which I did not consent.
He puts on this creepy playlist, and just like it's like the ropes were like around your neck, your wrists, your ankles, behind your back. It's like it was, I mean, I had bruises, I hated it.
Armie was also asked about branding a former partner, but according to him, it really wasn't branding at all. He just used a small knife to carve the letter A into their skin, cause that's what every normal person who's also accused of being a cannibal does. Armie is making an attempt to downplay the allegations from 2021, and he's probably hoping that people don't really remember the details. Even though it was only 3 years ago, so much happens within a short amount of time, and people forget things once it's out of the news cycle. Even for myself, I completely forgot that this man existed until I saw this article, and then I had to reread the text messages and the DMs to remember how sick he is. I think it's also sick that Piers Morgan is just doing these casual interviews with people that are accused of some horrible things. I mean, even to have a conversation with someone and it not revolve around the things that they've done or them taking full accountability, I don't care. I don't care about who supported you during this hard time in your life. I don't care that he said that this was actually a good thing that happened because it allowed him to take the time off he needed from his work to go focus on his drug and alcohol problems. I don't care. You are a sick person that has hurt multiple people that we know of. And if there are people that came forward, I know that there are people that we don't even know yet. I wish all alleged abusers could never PR their way back into the spotlight, but when you hear that other celebrities reached out to Armie and offered their support quietly, it reminds me that abusers are not only welcomed back into Hollywood, but oftentimes surrounded by people just like them. Armie shared that a few notable people contacted him during his tribulations, but he didn't want them to receive the backlash from being associated with him, so he kept their names under wraps. Armie also admitted to some of the bad behavior that he displayed. I cheated on my wife. I used people to make me feel better. I was callous and inconsiderate with people and their emotions and their well-being, and that is behavior. There are things in my behavior that I have to take accountability for, right? Because that is pivotal for me, learning and growing from it. Also, I'm only saying alleged abuser because of legal reasons. I believe Armie's victims, even if the LAPD did not go through with pressing charges because of insufficient evidence. We already know that situations like this have an extremely low conviction rate, and it's incredibly hard for victims to prove without a reasonable doubt the things that they've been through actually happened. The things Armie has admitted to already sets up a foundation for abuse. Previously, Armie had this to say in his interview with Airmail. I would have these younger women in their mid-20s and I'm in my 30s. I was a successful actor at the time. They could have been happy just to be with me and would have said yes to things that maybe they wouldn't have said yes to on their own. That's an imbalance of power in the situation. Now, if you watched my video about Shia LaBeouf's return to Hollywood, this entire situation is very reminiscent of that. When FKA Twigs sued Shia LaBeouf for harming her, his first response was to say that he has been very harmful, that he has hurt everyone that has loved him and everyone that's around him, and he feels deep remorse for the things that he's done. His second response was to say that her allegations were not true, which is very hard to believe again because you already painted the picture that you have a foundation where it would be easy to abuse other people. You set that up. You admitted to harming people. people. Abusers like this will admit to bits and pieces of their harmful behavior, but when it comes to actually taking accountability, they will avoid everything that could cause them to actually face consequences. You specifically targeted younger women and had a power dynamic with them that could have caused them to say yes to the extreme violent fetishes that you were into, but we're just supposed to take your word and believe you that you did not abuse your power, even though several women came out to say the exact opposite and say that you did abuse your power. We're supposed to believe that even though you're admitting that abuse would have been extremely easy because you set it up to be easy, these women that came forward are liars. Right. Anyways, I just wanted to make this video really quickly because I saw that quote and then I remembered everything and I hated it all over again. I also hope that once abusers are outed, we do not give them the time of day unless it's for them to be vulnerable and honest about the abuse that they've done. Unless there are conversations that involve furthering the support and help we can give to the victims, and how to even help the people who might offend in the future but haven't yet. The only conversations I care to have about Armie Hammer are the ones that involve his victims. They should always be the first part of any conversation surrounding him. This entire interview makes me feel like he wants us to have a little bit of pity and empathy and humanize him, and I have zero for him. I don't look at him as a human. I look at him as a monster, as I'm sure his victims do too. And I don't have any sympathy or empathy for monsters. Anyways, if you've made it this far, don't forget to like and subscribe. I've been working on a few other videos and I hope to have them out soon, but your girl is busy. I be working a lot, so I don't have time to put out all the videos that I want to put out, but they will come just a little later than normal. But thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, love you, bye.